It's too bad I didn't have the recording software running, and it's always kind of fun because you guys missed out on a whole lot of a holy crap moment because apparently I am not as smart as I think I am because I didn't have half of the limestone buckets placed where they needed to be placed. And well, that was pretty ugly. Hello everybody, this is Frogman. Welcome back to Captain of Industry. Yes, at the end of last episode, you guys missed it. I do apologize. It's quite amazing what happens when you don't have little things like limestone buckets full, because things like your copper stop working, and things like your power generation stops working, and it's, it is kind of what it is. We've managed to rebuffer back up, but yes, I couldn't figure out why my electronics and whatnot were going downhill until I realized, and I looked over here, that this whole line of copper was empty, and then I happened to read all the funny little things up here, and that this storage was empty, and I was like, well, why is this all empty? And I look right over there, and I'm like, oh. So yeah, there's a few more lines of things I need to run. I haven't done it yet, mainly because they have to come quite a ways over, but I do think I will be able to run at least this over to here. But, best laid plans, don't shut off your exports until you're quite certain that you're done hauling things around. So that was quite fun. That was absolutely quite fun. We ran almost completely out of, well, because of this one over here, we ran out of fertilizer, which means we almost ran out of food. So, yes, good times were had by all. But anyhow, the system that we were working on, or the deal that we were working on last time, was to try to continue or finish up draining what is left of the iron in here. So we built us a new little train station over here. And again, we just kind of need to do some of those episodes as we move on through the rest of this situation, or the way that we're doing things right now, because we're going to be able to just make sure that we can keep things going on. And I want to keep you guys entertained regardless of whether or not things are, well, going to be boring or not. So I do apologize. Anyhow, you need to go, bro. Just go dump that iron off. Just go to the next station, please. I think what I can do at this point, to be honest, can I add this station to that schedule? Iron train. This station, iron base, add, I need to fix the names on here. Can I add a station to this group and then select that? Because here very shortly we should have enough material. So go. And then I want you to make sure you are full of a specific product, which is iron. I believe that's how that all works, right? Iron. Cool. So that means that that train should go from point A to point B, and I think we could probably, even for that matter, turn the priority down on this so that it would not go to this other one. But we do want this to get emptied and sorted and taken care of, so we do have an awful lot. There's still just a little teeny tiny smidgen here and there in this hole. And when we do decide we want to flatten this out, there's going to be some iron that is likely going to come in from this mountain on this side, because there is some still in these hills, but there's not a lot. So it's I think we're about done. I think all we're doing right now is we're sorting rock into a pile over here, which is perfectly fine for now. Anyhow, I need to be paying a whole lot more attention to what has been going on up here, because we have been having a couple of issues. One of the biggest things that does happen here is when the power goes, we run out of fuel, and that's going to be something that I'm going to have to babysit, because the reason why we run out of it basically is because this thing kicks on, and we've turned it off for now because I think the issue is the game is still having a hard time calculating what's going on, and it might just be because we have not quite enough, or we're right on the edge of how much power we need. But anyhow, we have a bunch of little things over here that are whining and complaining about various things, because we're definitely having problems. So let's see. I need to check something very quickly, because we are going to continue to move a little bit of rock over here. Where are you guys dumping to? You should be dumping over there. Why are you complaining about not being able to dump stuff? Import routes to here. No, why don't you stop doing that? And then if you're complaining, it's because of this, correct? All right, good. I want them to finish cleaning up as much of the rock as they can. And yeah, we may just have to see if this will go to, just go to the next one. And when you get done, I want you to go to the next one. Just go to the next station. Go. I'm just gonna, what I think I might do here for a little bit, let's disable that train station. I want to see what they'll do. Whether they're gonna have to make a big silly circle because there's no easy way for them to get over there from here. But we should at least now have a reasonably decent stock of iron. And every time another one of these trucks comes from over there, which I did go ahead and move a couple of guys over here, a couple of nice big excavators and a few trucks to start scrubbing so we can find out what we have. Oh my. We may actually need to start working on a ramp into that area. I think we'll worry about that when we get there. I was concerned. I think what we need to do right now is we just need to dig and stock iron for a while, and then we'll go from there. So as far as the research went, right at the end of last episode, I started the next research that I wanted, which was going to be microchip production or production 2. That got us the new microchip machines. And again, these things run about 3 times as fast as the other ones do. So I've already started to upgrade at least the first row. And again, the numbers are kind of odd, and I want to just kind of put it out like this. The numbers are kind of odd in the fact that these are going to make, 12 per cycle, these silicon wafers. But because of the way these things are, 3, you can take that number and kind of multiply it by 3. That's how many it theoretically makes, because the cycle takes, 4 times? It's like 3 or 4 times. So it's regardless of the fact it says it needs, it's going to make 12 and this is going to need 18 one run. It's got to do this same process 4 times, which means it's 4 times here, 4 times here, 4 times there. It takes 4 times as long as it technically does, so you're 4 times the amount. Did I need to make 2 machines? Not necessarily, but it's not a bad idea. So now that we've recovered with a little bit of some of the other things that are going on, I'm going to go ahead and just upgrade you as well. We're just going to kind of work through these. We're going to need a bunch of these regardless. I just want to make sure that they're making as much as we can, because eventually we're going to want a ton of the red and the, I guess, purple circuits. So we'll just continue to work through that. I am not turning this on today. What we're going to do today, now that we have this all figured, is we're going to carefully transition this system. I was wondering if you were going to do that. All right, can you all do me a humongous favor? We're going to test some things here real quick. I want to put the priority here as being 6 and the priority here as being 7. And I want you both to go to the next train station again. I don't think there's anything in these. Oh, there might be a little bit. Oh, so it doesn't matter. Interesting. You go to the next one then. Now my question is does that mean once that happens, once they do the full circle and come back over, since I set the priority higher on this station, are they going to go here first, or are they going to go back over here, even though this station is, well, that thing. Did I set the wrong thing? I did set the wrong thing. Pause. That thing. This is just a spot. Okay, so I question now whether or not that's going to do anything. And like I said, as far as digging the rocks right now, I'm not really worried about it, although I probably should. How are we doing? Is there anything left over here? Okay, I think you all can just, well, I mean, there's a little spot right there. That looks to be usable. Do we have that mining right now? 1 second. Yes, we do, but they can't get to it. Guys, dig that one little spot right there, please. And then you can stop working over here because I don't think there's a bit of iron anywhere in that mountain. There's a little bit right there. We'll eat that up, and then I think there might be some. I mean, like, you get these little bitty splashes of iron on, ores and whatnot on the walls. They're not necessarily anything, and it just depends on how, how much you're absolutely after various materials and how much you're willing to leave behind, because there's not much left in that hole. And again, like that little smidgen right down there is nothing. So we'll let them go back over there and see if there's anything still up there in that little wall right there, because that's still fairly high. And if there is, cool. If not, then we're going to be very shortly moving them to the next location. But as soon as we know something, so we should have 2 trains. Where did they go? Okay, you fellas, what are you going to do? Are you going to go where I told you. We're going to watch. We're learning. We are definitely learning. All right, cool. So they will stop, fill up. And fill up. And now I'm going to be very interested. Let's open the interface up. And we'll see how quickly this train can manage to accelerate. It's going to have an uphill, then a downhill that should push it quite hard back up that mountain. I hope. So let's see what we're going to get. Yeah, that corner killed it a little bit, but that's fine. I may have to redo that. But I need to at least be hitting about 70, 70, 70, 70. Come on, guys, 70, 70, 70. We're not going to get there. Oh, that's not awful. It's still bad, but it's not awful. Yeah, we may have to do a little tweaking on that yard. But as far as I can figure, the various materials that we're hauling weigh a specific amount as well, so I would assume that an iron train would be pretty heavy. I mean, I guess we could put another engine on these things. Autosave. Yeah, I may want to tweak that one angle just a little bit to get the red out of it. And if we could get the red out of that one little spot, I think it would be okay. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to kind of chill for a minute here, guys. I know we're kind of in the middle of an episode. I'm going to sit here back just a little bit and let some stuff refill because we're kind of a little short on materials and we need to get a couple of things moving. So once we're successfully transitioned out of this pit and we're not digging anything else, I mean, there's a little bit of iron in that corner. They're going to eventually get to it. Once we successfully transitioned out of that hole, I will bring you guys back and we're going to start working on laying out this mess because we're going to have to design a water department for it. We're going to have to move our fertilizer system for it. We're going to have to do a whole bunch of stuff. And I kind of want to leave it right where it's at. But once we get this kind of sorted, these guys are going to also move over here. And actually, I think they're getting really close. These guys right here are going to start moving this mountain that's sitting right here into this hole. So we may end up with a whole lot more surface area to run farms fairly soon, although it might be a while. Anyhow, I'll be back. Okay, I think I like that idea. I think what we're going to do there, I'm going to go ahead and delete my lines, and I'm going to let them start building. We're going to pause them all for sure, but I'm going to let them start building them so we can start figuring out the amount of things that we need to do to get this sorted. I know that's going to cost me a lot of stuff, but I wanted to make sure we were at least doing that beforehand. So, pause. Actually, what I might do is we have 3 of them, or what is it, 6? We have 6. We have 6 over here we're using. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. We'll shut those off and we'll start with these. And we'll make sure they can't populate because we only have 81 people. That's fine. And yeah, then we'll go from there. I'm going to let them build that, and then I'm going to bulldoze this and all of those so that they're not in the way. And yeah, that's going to need a lot, I think, of this. Yeah, that's going to need an awful lot of construction parts 3. So what we'll do is we'll get these 6 right here replaced and started once we get everything buffered back up. And then we'll start with the next 6 because essentially what I want to do is I want to just roll through what we have right now, but I'm going to make it so that all of our corn, we're going to be changing a bunch of this up. We're going to go to a different diet. We're going to need to go to a different diet. I want to use corn as an overflow. We're going to start raising or making bread because just a couple of these, doing a cycle of wheat and, say wheat, vegetables, and whatever, will make a considerable amount of wheat, which we can then use to make an awful lot of bread. So we can stop feeding them corn. And then what we can do is we can also move towards either tofu or we can move towards something else because we could, I guess if we wanted to make cake's the end all be all kind of a deal, but we could definitely move towards tofu, but I'm kind of leaning towards something that we could make a decent amount of feed out of, so we can start raising the thing that I didn't want to raise, which is chickens, because they will eat the eggs, and I have no problems giving them eggs. And if we could get another, like I say, if we could get another thing into their diet, it would make them considerably happier. And of course, actually, the thing that you really should probably looking at is treats, because everybody likes treats, right? Hello. Well, look at corn then. Corn in a food processor with corn, salt, and cooking oil and some plastic will make a bunch of treats. Okay, anyway, where were we? We need to look at a few things. Anyhow, like I said, we're going to be taking the majority of the corn that we're feeding these people, and we're going to use it to make either ethanol or whatever. I need to turn this back on because we're probably going to have a problem here fairly soon. And this was kind of leftovers of some other things that, you know, you need to do when you need to do things. So you guys need to make me a little bit more ethanol. We're probably not making any, we're not making anything right now. I'm glad I'm catching that once again. This is going to be one of the next things we need to work on, and part of the reason why I want to build a bunch more farms is because one of the next things we need is we're going to need sugarcane. So sugarcane is going to be able to either be turned into, again, fuel gas and a little bit of compost, or with some water in a food processing facility, we can make sugar. And sugar is going to be mixed with a little bit of ammonia and some oxygen, and that will allow us to make antibiotics. Antibiotics are the next step to being able to make medical supplies too. So that little medical supplies thing that we just got done doing, if we just add 48 antibiotics to 96 of these, we'll be able to then make some of the next step that will help our people feel a little better, get a little bit more stuff going, and, you know, away we go. Are we making anything yet? That might take a little bit for that to come back up. Because, you know, I'm a genius. I need to move this stuff. Part of the reason why I want to move these out of the way, or at least get them moved out of the way, is because I want to do the food. We're going to move this direction as we can, but I also want to do a lot of the food production in this area. So, like, the idea is going to be that we're probably going to build another one of these somewhere down along this line, about like so, and then maybe do another one or two right in here somehow. And then we'll do the food production, or the stuff that needs to be done for food production down here. So the food processors, the chickens, the things, the stuff will be down right around in this area. Yeah, I think I'm going to give this a couple of minutes while I figure out a couple of more things. How are we doing in here? Everything seems to be working fine. Get you a nice big scoop. Good deal. How is everything else doing? The coal is going to concern me here fairly soon. I may have to redo the depth at which we're at because we're moving an awful lot of rock, but I don't really mind it too much because it's going to give us a nice big flat surface area down here to work with eventually, should we need it. And yeah, I need to probably... Are we back fill up here? Back full? Good enough? Good. Okay. I want you guys to change a couple of things up here. I may have to move some stuff, but I think I can start dismantling all of this. And I'm going to leave this fuel station here once this is all set up. So, cool. Yeah, I think I'm going to do a little bit more dismantling in between here, or in these cuts here real quick, while I decide how we want to do water, because the water is going to be probably something along the lines of this, or we're just going to run a big line from here over to there and up into this. But we may end up doing something like a so as well. So I'm gonna make up my mind. I need to sit down and do some math and figure out how much water we actually have, and then figure out how much water we're going to need, because we do have actual numbers. It will tell us, and then we'll go from there. So I will be back in a little bit. All right. I think I can push a button finally. That took a little bit of scheduling, planning, and figuring out. This is going to take a lot of water. I mean, I'm just using the numbers here as far as over 9 months and how things go. Just to be able to raise sugarcane is going to be an awful lot of water. The wheat's not, well, the canola's not so bad. I think the wheat is still pretty bad, but we're going to need to make sugarcane. Again, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to need this much sugarcane, but we are going to do a few things. So anyhow, I've got these set up with a similar pattern fashion as to what we have going on over here. I am going to try to raise a reasonable amount of corn still right now, because I think we're going to, I need to fix that one. I am going to knock this one down to the green manure though, because it does not need to be doing that much. I mean, essentially that's what we're doing over here right now. We have that and this and this and this. So we are going to produce a little bit more corn because we can do a few things with corn that we're going to need in the future. Again, corn is going to be able to make us animal feed, as well as it's going to be able to make us snacks. So I think what we're going to try to do fairly soon is we're going to start providing them with at least 2 or 3 different flavors of food here. So again, I think I probably mentioned this. It's been a couple. This is going to be a recording that's going to take a couple of days, so we're going to have to look at it this way. We're going to be able to feed them a little bit of corn, but we're also going to attempt to give them bread at this point. So they're going to end up with 2 carbs, and by the end of this, we should be able to also get them 2 vitamins. And I'm doing the fruit because that is a necessary thing for cake. I do think one of the silly things I do want to do eventually is we're going to produce a stupid amount of cake for no reason other than we can. We're also going to produce snacks, because snacks are a thing that we can make out of corn and the canola oil that we can make. So if I do, again, we've looked at this a couple of times. We can make cooking oil out of canola, or we can make it out of soybean. Now, this is a kind of one of those things. I may end up moving this down the line and start making soybeans, because soybeans, we can feed them as a protein and not have to raise chickens. But we need eggs in order to make cake, and eggs are a very valuable source of protein as far as these go. I mean, we could feed them eggs, they would get their protein, and we wouldn't have to worry about tofu or whatever. However, with the thing that this goes, and this is another one of those silly little deals, and I know this is just silliest the way this whole thing goes. If you look at sausage takes a leftover part from the meat trimmings, adds a little bit of flour, which you're going to have because of the wheat that you're producing, and a little salt, and you're going to make, something that is considered a protein, which is kind of gross considering the fact that there's absolutely no meat going into those meat trimmings. So it is interesting. The meat trimmings, you can actually take the chicken and convert it straight into that and then feed them the leftover stuff. So there's going to be a lot of food processing that I'm going to try to build, I think, right around in this area. And in order to do that, we need these farms to go away, which is why we're working on this. Now, as far as the chickens and whatnot go, we may try to build them, like I said, food processing, there's multiple things we can do. We can theoretically raise chickens. I've said I didn't want to raise chickens, but as I looked down the line through some of the things that we're going to need for our research, if I scroll over, where is it? I got to go find the rockets. 1 second. So once we get a space station built, in order to crew said space station, we need to be able to make food packs. And if we go over here and we look at food packs require either eggs or meat or something. So we can either do this line down here where you're raising tofu and vegetables, or eggs and bread, or meat and bread will make food packs. Now, you could take these food packs and trade them as a contract, but I think that is now gone. No, it's still here. That's going to be a valuable source for you later on if you so choose to do it, because that's a heck of a lot of oil and a heck of a lot of ammonia that you can use to do things. Plus, I mean, if you really need to be importing uranium, you can as well. So again, this late game gets very interesting trying to maintain certain items. The one big issue that we're going to have towards the end of the game is the lack of crude oil that we're going to have available on the map, because we're going to use up all of these little oil platforms that we have. I mean, we've already used up one. This one's completely empty. I have another one here that is ready to go, and I think we're using this one right now. And this one has 182 years left in it, so not a lot. We're going to end up having to change spots again here fairly soon, which is going to mean I'm going to need to make sure this one is as upgraded as it can be, and it is not. I need to crew something and get to work on that. Have I got extra people? Load a crew. I need you guys to start working on that one immediately. Upgrade, please. So that's one of those things you got to pay attention to. So again, it's one of those things. You can trade Well, in theory, on that point, something that is renewable for something that is not. Yeah, I mean, what does a food pack take? Hang on a minute, now that I'm staring at it. That is totally renewable. Huh. Interesting. So yeah, we may end up having to really ramp up the food for that kind of thing. However, there are other ways of getting oil. We can trade gold. We can trade production of various things, and we can go. I know. Anyhow, I'm rattling. Let's go ahead and build the water production facility that we need to use for this mess, because it is going to require an unholy amount of water. Even if it works out to where it should be fine, I think we're going to need something like 500 or 600 water for that thing, especially given how much the water the sugarcane is going to need. So we'll go ahead and unpause this, and that will do all of these. There's a whole bunch of things that are currently in here that need to get unpaused as well. We'll start about right there, and I don't want to unpause these just yet, although I think you can not do that belt right now, or that belt, or that belt, or, well, I guess you can drive it to there. And we do have a new fertilizer facility ready to go for all of this. So essentially all I did was I just took the old system that I had and made it double that, so it should absolutely be able to do things. And actually, I think I was looking at some of the numbers in here. We were actually running a little under on this as well. This should produce something like 200, I forget what it is, 200 and, we'll do the thing, it's sitting right there, 216 fertilizer per minute, which I think we should be all right on. It might hurt us a little bit on the ammonia. We'll see if I have to bring in ammonia or make ammonia. We can. I mean, ammonia is makeable. You can make it in a chemical plant. Yeah, chemical plant. Ammonia. You can make it in a chemical plant with a, where is it? Yeah, right there. Hydrogen and nitrogen. So that's just taking the leftover nitrogen that you're using to make the well, this system right here, for that matter, is throwing away nitrogen. Liquid dump has no, it's fine, doesn't matter. This is throwing away a considerable amount of nitrogen because we're pumping it away. All you have to do is then provide it a little bit of hydrogen, which you can do by splitting water if you need to, or you can haul hydrogen in from a different location. I need to set you to have a specific recipe. You are going to dump that. Copy, paste, good. All right, and then this, I don't need you guys trying to help, please. This we can jumpstart simply. So this is going to need an export route from, we're going to keep it full, and we're going to keep it filled from here for now. I'm going to have to start really seriously thinking, once we crank up power, once we crank up a little bit of power, I think probably very soon, maybe next week, we're going to seriously have to start looking at making a lot more power, which means I think it's time to start working into the basic nuclear systems, which we may end up trying to do right here. We have a large amount of room right here, and we're going to need a massive amount of water, and we do have a decent amount over here, but we're going to need even more. So we may start building in, it's kind of the reason why I've been leaving this open, because a nuke reactor is freaking massive. And these are the baby ones. So, I mean, we'll have another 2 or 3 of these. I would like to get at least a couple of these running so that we can make an awful lot of steam. They will make a massive amount of steam. They won't tell you in here. I think it's like 300 and some odd steam that these will make based on however much fuel you can cram in them. But we need to start refining. Stuff. Why are you out of? Hang on. We might have a problem. We'll let them build all of that. And the thing I need them to do is I need them to say water truck keep full, allow to bring in. Nope. Bring in that much water, and then might somebody should go get us a little bit of water, dump it in here, and once they dump that in there, then this will be brought in. Well, it'll just flow into the things and it'll start working on its own. But why am I out of fuel, ladies, gentlemen? All right, so we have a nice big tub for the compost, so we shouldn't have too much problems with this. I actually need to make sure that this is going to notify me if less than 25. I need you to notify me if you are less than 25. And you guys are going to do the same thing. Notify me if less than 25 and less than 25. And you're going to notify me if you are less than 25 as well. And that's going to yell at me. That's fine. All right. Is all of this stuff working? Looks good to me. We will eventually probably pipe some ammonia into this and some of the other things that are going to be needed to be belted. But there's so many production processes with this compost that I think we're going to be fine for now. And I do have a bunch of belts ready to go. We're going to have to design all of this stuff. For right now, what's in here is what we're already making, so it shouldn't really matter. And we should be able to go. Where is this? Okay, you're going to get mad at me because you are, what did I say, 25. Okay, fine, good enough. Let's just kind of let things buffer a little bit, and then we can build in a belt line, which they're currently working on because that was a lot of orange belts. And then we'll see where we go from there. How is our water production? Did we go? Okay, good. You guys can stay down. Everything is full. Everything is happy. The water has run down all the way to the end. Very good. I had to do a little bit of jankiness to get it through there. Irrigation tanks. Why are they not filling? Is it because of the fact that they're paused? They should be filling. We have fertilizer all the way down. Is that filling? No, it's because they're not. Okay, well, whatever. All right, we have 231 people. Why don't you have these two turn on and let's see what happens. All right, cool. And then boink, boink. Very good, very good. We like to see it. All right, so that should be the same amount of production that we currently have. I wonder why this is taking so long. Finish it. Finish it. All right. So from here, what we're going to have to do is this is going to go to about right here, and then I think I'm probably going to have to build a road or a thing cover out here somewhere. We're going to end up with, I forget, however many of these we're going to need. It should be, oh man, I don't even know if I'm going to have enough belt space to make that work. We'll see. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 products that are going to be coming out of this. So we can make that tall enough. I think we should be able to make at least one of these somewhere. How many does this have? This one will do that. I'm going to end up having to build some kind of a goofy thing like that, probably in here, just so that we can kind of make this work. Possibly. But for now, I'm going to let it run and buffer up and get ready to go. Man, that's a lot of fertilizer. I'm so looking forward to this. That's going to be neat. All right, once those are all ready to go, then we can kind of think about temporary belting it in, or maybe what we do is we temporarily build a couple of storages right here and have the trucks haul it over here. That might not be a stupid idea. Hey, let's do that real quick. While we're here, because we're going to have to tear these out, sadly, I will place, what do we have going here? I don't think, what was this top one? This top one should be, why did I do this? No, 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 no. That does not go there. That does not go there. Must fix. That was incorrect. I mean, I didn't need to rip this belt out, but that was incorrect. Because the top one is going to go to over here. This one needed to go... Ah, that's why. Build, please. No, that's... Well, that's fine. Or is that why I did that? I love how you forget what you were doing. Yep, that's exactly what I did. Okay, well, I'm an idiot. I guess I need to put that back. 1 second. Okay, so that should start pushing a few things down the line here. While we're paying attention, I'm going to go ahead and grab... So I think it's this middle belt right here that is not... what I really need to do is figure out a way to label belts. So that belt right there should be the fruit belt. This is going to be the vegetable belt. This will be the corn belt. Gotcha. All right, so let's do just a very simple thing. Very simple thing. I want a large storage for the corn that I'm going to put right here so that it's out of the way. You need to just get out of there, buddy. You're going to get stuck. And I'm going to place one of these right here. That should be the vegetable. You to there. I want something bigger than that one. Can I just in place? Oh, I love that button so much. I'm so glad they did that. The new upgrades. That's something we haven't covered yet is the recent upgrades that they placed in on things. It has been absolutely fantastic with the certain little things like that. Quality of life. So nice. Love it. I'm all about QOL stuff, and that is one that is very nice. So you to there, go, and then you guys get upgraded so that those will get stocked. Nice. Okay. So that means what we can do then is... Pause, 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 pause. And then you export to the box here. Keep full. You export to the box and to that one for now. Allow in and keep full, and we should be good to go for there. So import, keep full, keep full. Okay, now all we're gonna do then is we're just gonna let the whatever kind of work its way out of these. I probably should just shut the fertilizer off, and again, I'm not really worried about it. Maybe we can. Can we just... I'm going to pause this pipe. Actually, no, let's just do this. Let's just do the smart thing. No. No. And no. Empty. 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 No, and yeah, you guys are fine there. And I'm just going to let it run out what's in those tubs. And sure, then we'll just unpause these. I shouldn't have paused them. We'll just unpause them, let them run the fertilizer out because there is a decent amount of fertilizer in these things. The water is not so much a big problem. But yeah, I think we'll go ahead and let that go. So we have started down the path, ladies and gentlemen, of trying to make a little bit more food. And by a little bit more, I mean a lot more. It's going to be a very interesting thing. One of the things that they don't bother to mention unless you dig a little bit is the fact that the more food you give your people, the less they tend to eat of one individual type. So if you give them a variety of things, then you don't necessarily have to grow so much of one particular thing. I get the want to maybe stay with something fairly simple, but you also want to try to stay with something reasonably complex because you get a bonus, more of a bonus because of the complexity based on your unity production. So plus, I don't think they eat as much, which is kind of interesting. But yes, we're definitely going to try to go for the wheat. I might do sausage. I don't know. It's probably going to be meat and eggs because we're going to need the eggs to make things, which is why we're going to, well, to make cake, which is why we're going to be able to make, well, fruit, a couple other things. But I do want to do cake, and I think probably fairly soon we're going to start doing some things. But we have a whole lot of, well, we have a whole lot of things that need to go away first. All of this has got to go away. Most of that over there's got to go away, and we're going to, again, probably move some of this, like this little thing that I just kind of tacked onto the side is going to go away. It's all going to move down here. We're going to use this area right here to build all of the food processing that we need, and probably, like I said, be raising chickens maybe in this area. I don't know. We'll have to start thinking about that in the next episode, because we're not done with building more food. Once we have more food, we can make more people, which means we can make more offices, which we can start down the line of small things. I unfortunately at this point, every time I try to do any large amount of science, we wreck the entire economy. However, I think we might be okay, so I may do a couple of little small researches in between episodes just to kind of get us tided over. Like I would like this one and maybe a few more vehicles, and I might start working down through this right here, so that by next time we should be able to do a few things. I don't know. It all depends. So also, well, I guess I have you guys, and if you're still paying attention, thank you very much for your patience and your time. Our recording schedules are going to be changing up next week, which means I may be out an episode or two, because I kind of plan on taking a little bit of a time off for the rest of this week, so I will see where it goes. But I am definitely going to be going into a new schedule. But that new schedule means that I'm going to be off a considerably amount earlier in the afternoons, which means I will have a little bit more time, and I'm looking forward to that. So I'll see y'all later. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.